Welcome to the Primal Training Podcast. I'm your host, Mamoun Bennani, a holistic fitness and nutrition coach. The goal of this podcast is to bring ancestral wisdom to the modern world by sharing insightful conversations with experts in movement, nutrition, and spirituality. I really hope to provide practical strategies to enhance your lives. Enjoy. Hi guys, today I'm having over Darryl Edwards. Darryl is a former investment banking technologist who has decided to turn his life around and becoming a movement coach. At a certain point in his life, Darryl has become really unhealthy, and doctors told him that he has to do something about it really quickly. He didn't want to take medicine, he wanted to find his own way to become healthier. So he went hard on training, finding ways to have a healthier lifestyle, and he found that playing out rather than working out can have a lot of benefits and can be a more sustainable way to becoming healthier. So that's what we've been discussing about today, and I really hope you enjoy this episode. That's great.
Hey,
We're live. Hey Darryl, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing, Mamoun?
Really good, really good. I've really been looking forward to this. Um, I've been following a little bit your videos, what you're doing online, and it's super interesting. And yeah, you have a special perspective when it comes to fitness, really not conventional. And I'm sure there's a lot of interesting things you can share with us today. So. A little bit of background. I've seen one of your videos, super motivational, that tells a little bit about where you're coming from. And for a fitness coach, it happens sometimes, but it's not. I mean, it's not really common. You come from an investment technology background, and so you had a little bit of health issues, and you wanted to take over and work on yourself until you found something that you can share with other people. And so now you're in health and fitness. You're the author of the best-selling book Animal Moves, and yeah, you're teaching people around the world about health and fitness. And yeah, so to start with, so I want to know. I have little pieces of the puzzle, but I want to know a little bit more. So who is the old Darryl, and how did you find this passion for health and fitness?
Yeah, so I like how you started off by saying calling me old. So I am 50 this year. So I'm already 50. So I
Hmm.
suppose that's a hint at my at me getting older. But certainly, I suppose my journey started in childhood. So
Hmm.
I was a child of the 70s, and back in the 70s, pretty much exercise in quotation marks for kids was going outside to play. That pretty much what exercise was. And
Hmm.
we'd have lessons a few times a week, but the main bulk of physical activity was spent at home with our friends, having lots of fun. And the older I got, probably going into adult years, that stopped pretty much right away.
Hmm.
And it became structured exercise, going to a gym. And I didn't have a great time at most gyms. I just envied people who seemed to do really well in the gym. I bought all of the magazines. I spoke to my friends who were interested in exercise, but it was
Hmm.
just something that didn't really work for me. Um, Once I got into investment banking and technology, so I was a
Hmm.
programmer and I worked
Okay.
in technology. And in banking, I was just working pretty much every hour available, sat at a desk, surrounded by screens, cutting computer code, making the bank lots of money, and I was getting a few of the scraps, a few crumbs, but that the crumbs are still lots of money
Hmm.
for the work that I was doing. But there was a price to pay, and that price was my health. So annual health check, being told you're pre-diabetic, you have a really poor lipid profile, elevated cardiovascular risk, you could have a stroke or a heart attack within the next few years. I had very high blood pressure. I was anemic. Was suffering from low back pain. I mean, there were so many issues, and I didn't want to take medication, which is what was offered initially. I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to see if there was another way, and I knew that exercise could help with blood pressure. So I was like, let me try becoming more active. Let me join a gym and actually continue to go because I joined the gym many times
Uh-huh.
in my 20s and early 30s, but couldn't keep up with that. And when I had this early warning sign of problems in my mid 30s, I was like, right, I'm going to join a gym. Let's see if I can change my life. And
Mm-hmm.
fortunately, my blood pressure came down. My pre-diabetes I became normal in
Wow.
terms of blood glucose. I was no longer high risk of a heart attack. So things
Uh-huh.
changed in a short space of time. And that was the moment I decided physical activity needed to be a larger part of my life. That was the first decision. The
Mm-hmm.
second decision, quite a few years on from that, when things were really good in terms of exercise. So going regularly, getting stronger, getting fitter, getting healthier, amazing myself at what was possible. I'm like, oh my goodness, I had no idea I could do this physical stuff. Like this is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
But but the motivation was still a problem for me. Like why, even though I've had this experience, this wonderful experience, do I still feel like it's drudgery, it's painful, it's uncomfortable? Like, oh my gosh, another workout, why am I bored doing the same thing over and over again? And and that's for somebody who's convinced exercise is one of the best things that we can do for our health. So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm convinced by that, why is it still such a problem me doing it?
So it was efficient at a certain until a certain point, and then you started to notice that it was getting boring and not sustainable, or is that even before you got started?
No, no, that was, I suppose that was the second kind of shift was when I
Mm-hmm.
realized that how could I make movement more sustainable for me?
Mm-hmm.
How could I make it more fun and engaging? And so yeah, that was a sort of the second big change shift
Right.
was thinking about, okay, I'm doing all of this functional training. So that was one part of the shift. Of like, okay, I don't just want to train for aesthetics. I want to train for function and for ability. Um, so then, how can I take that and make it something I want to do for as long as possible? you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah.
and to have some fun and to be serious about it. Don't get me wrong, I want to be serious about this, but I want to have some fun and joy and still explore what my body's capable of. So I kind of went into this adult phase of being really serious about physical activity and exercise. But
Mm-hmm.
then I wanted to explore the childlike aspects of myself, the inner child, and say, hey, I did some really amazing things when I was a kid and a teenager that that I wasn't thinking about exercise. It was just a lot of fun. We climbed
Mm-hmm.
trees, we got on bikes, we rode for miles, we, we like
Yeah.
just did crazy enjoyable things.
Mm-hmm.
And that was probably the most active I'd ever been in my life. But a lot of it brought a smile to my face. A lot of it was enjoyable. Why can't I have that now as an adult?
Mm-hmm.
So that was a turning point for me. That's how the primal play method came about.
Mm-hmm.
Blending, blending this primal natural movement that's part of our DNA, how we were evolved to move, and blending that with play psychology and play theory, and ensuring that I got the best of both worlds. That was a solution for me. Like, oh wow,
Right.
I can do this because I need to do this. It's important. It's good for my health, physical and mental and emotional health. But also, hey, I can make this really interesting. I can make this really challenging. I can be creative. I can do stuff that I've never done before, and there's always other stuff to do. There's always something else I could be doing.
Right.
So it's an
Yeah.
endless supply of movement opportunities. That for me was the pinnacle of my relationship with exercise, which I don't even really use exercise anymore,
Mm.
to be honest. But my pinnacle of my experience of movement was thinking,
Mm-hmm.
oh my goodness, there's so many opportunities. There's so
Yeah.
many places I can move that have nothing to do with a gym, have nothing to do with gym equipment, have
Yeah.
nothing to do with how much money I have available,
And you
wherever I am. Yeah.
yeah, sorry. And you said even you had the consultation of an expert when it comes to making exercise more fun. You in one of your in your TED talk, you said that your niece. Uh, so you asked your niece how to make exercise more motivating, and she said like make
Yeah,
it just play, just make it
just
like
play.
a yeah.
Yes, that's the, yeah, I asked, I suppose I asked why, rather than asking for how can you make exercise, better,
Mm-hmm.
why do you think that people don't like exercise? That's the sort of question that I asked. And children, a certain age, children are very honest. They don't want to please. There's a certain age where they're not thinking about pleasing their parents or their peers, or
Mm-hmm.
they're not that they already know, they feel they know the answer, so they're straight, like, yeah, this is what you can do. And 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 she just said, yeah, exercise is boring. And that's why she knew what exercise was, and she's like, that's boring. So if something's boring, why would you want to continue to do it? I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, makes sense. It was a validation.
Mm-hmm.
I already knew, but I was like, let me ask a child, because I still have an adult mind, and maybe I am over complicating this. I'm like
Right.
trying to create this philosophy and be all philosophical. But of course, asked her the question, she told me straight, exercise is boring. That's why people don't want to do it. Yeah, you're right. And I can admit it to myself, because I must admit, in the first few years, I tried to say to people, oh, exercise is so amazing. It's so exciting. Like, I can't wait to get in the gym. I just love it. And this and that. And I'm like, there's a part of me which is not being honest with myself, because
Mm-hmm.
I should also be communicating that sometimes I would rather just sit on my chair and do nothing. That's a decision that I make sometimes. Like, hey, you know what? I've got my gym session coming up, but also I could stay at home and watch TV, or play a computer game, or do something else with my
Right.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, I would just say, no, no, you don't focus on that. Just focus on the amazing time you're going to have at working out, exercising, and nothing else matters. But the reality is, other things do matter, and exercise can be squeezed out of the equation, day-to-day equation of living. So I was like, okay, I have this problem. Rather than pretending I don't, I'm going to be honest about it. I don't really like exercise. I love the benefits. I know I need to move more. It's amazing what the science tells us about the benefits. So I don't want to be sedentary. I definitely don't want to be a sedentary individual, but I need to
Mm-hmm.
find a way to make it easier for me to move more. So that's pretty much a condensed, long version
Mm-hmm.
of as to what led me to where I am now, why I created the Primal Play method, why I focus on animal moves, as one aspect of Primal Play,
Uh-huh.
and why I'm challenging some of what we know in conventional exercise, which I feel doesn't really appeal to many humans. It's like we have to ask those difficult questions. Why do people sign up to gyms and don't even attend, even though they've paid? Like, why is that?
Yeah.
um, and we can't say it's because, oh, not enough equipment, not enough things for people to do, not enough people involved in terms of expertise. There's more people involved in personal training and gym instructors than ever before. There's more information than ever before. People people can talk about biceps and triceps. People talk about anatomy when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to physical exercise, even though they may never have covered it, or they did it last at school many years ago. It's
Yeah.
become part and parcel of what people do. Oh, you do your cardio. Oh, yeah, I'm doing a bit of resistance, strength train. But people talk about it doesn't mean they're always doing it. And I think even then it becomes an intellectualized, rather than something that you just do,
Mm-hmm. And
like.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I feel also like the notion of playing, and it's something when I heard your TED talk really changed my perspective to play. Is that
Mhm.
like for me personally, I know that there's different kind of people. I can motivate myself to go to the gym or do a certain exercise, like running, for example. I hate running, but
Mm.
the first 5 minutes, I'm even sure that elite runners hate the first 5-10 minutes, but once you're in it, you have all your hormones working, you have everything that's gonna make you enjoy what you're doing. And I feel
Mm.
that the good thing with playing is that you bypass this 5-10 shitty minutes in the beginning, and you go
Yeah.
straight to the to the happy
Yeah,
hormones. And
straight to the sweet spot. Yeah, I like that. That's a great way of putting it. I tend to say, I use the term instant, like almost instant gratification, instant immersion.
mm,
Like you immediately feel great. So a lot of exercise, you feel great at the end. It's like relief, like, oh, that was such a great workout. That was such a great run. I ran 2 hours and oh, I feel great now. Those
mm,
endorphins, woo,
right.
it's like, yes, yes, you can celebrate. But
Mm-hmm.
people aren't celebrating for the 2 hours whilst they're doing the run,
Yeah,
right? So I,
yeah.
I think, yeah, if you can get it down to 10 minutes, I think you're doing really well because I think some some people are hating every single second of that process. Even
Mm-hmm.
Muhammad Ali famously said that he hates every single minute of his training. He doesn't enjoy it, but he does it because he knows he wants to be the champion of the world. He knows he wants to be better than the person he's going to be facing in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
So he's honest about it. Thank goodness there's honesty about this. So yeah, that 10-minute window for you, I think you already have a head start. You're already motivated to be exercising. That's what you do for a living. You know how important it is. You coach people. This is what you do. So I
Mm-hmm.
think for people like you and I, we probably get that benefit a bit sooner. And
Right.
as you
Yeah.
say, elite athletes who get into that flow state, yeah, they start off and like, oh, not again, and then, oh yeah, now I feel good. I'm in the zone. I'm in the zone. But I think most people, they literally are like, "Phew, thank goodness that's over, you know, like,
Mm-hmm.
or they're in an exercise class and they're like looking at the clock on the wall, going, oh my gosh, we've got another 50 minutes of this,
Mm-hmm.
like really, what the heck? Why am I doing this? And then they finish and they go, oh, that was why I did this. Look, I'm all sweaty. I'm like, tick, tick, tick. I've done another workout. Let me weigh
Mm-hmm.
myself. Yeah, I'm getting lean, and look how good I'm looking. So um, for me, play is about instantly feeling better,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And feeling good about what you're doing. And that doesn't mean it doesn't mean that you have a smile on your face, and that you're laughing, or that there's a visible outward appearance of joy. It doesn't mean that. It just means that there's almost like an inner peace. So children, for example, when children are playing, and people go, oh yeah, when you're young and you're just having loads of fun all the time and like laughing and joking. I'm like, no. There are times when there is so much risk involved, when there's conflict, when there's like decisions being made as to whether you can do something or not. Can I climb that tree? And if I can I get down? Can I balance on that railing? Can I piggyback my sibling? Can I run over there and get back? Can I?
Yeah.
There's 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 all of these questions that we ask ourselves where you're not smiling, you're not thinking this is fun, but you're engaged. in the activity. You know, you're so in the moment that you're
Right.
not thinking this is uncomfortable. You're just
Mm-hmm.
thinking, this is great. I'm challenging myself. I'm learning about myself. I'm learning about the environment.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell, I can see that I can't run as fast as my older brother, but you know, I'm not gonna say, okay, there's no point. I'm still gonna run as fast as I can. I'm
Mm-hmm.
still gonna feel great, him chasing me back. You know, there's all these games that we play, there's all these games that we modify. So yeah, I think play is certainly one of the most underappreciated
Mm-hmm.
tools that we have available, especially
Right.
for adults. We completely dismiss it as being a waste of time. Like play, like I've got more important things to do with my time than play.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly I would say to anyone, just do one of my just do one of my sessions, just do one of my playouts. And I would challenge anyone not to feel that they're not getting all of those benefits that they can get from a workout,
Right.
but they feel better about it right away.
Mm-hmm.
They're reducing the barriers to entry by having this playful state. So yeah, it's for me. I'm already convinced, and I remember once having a conversation with someone who was a professor. Basically, they had a PhD
Mm-hmm.
in play psychology, right? They wrote computer games back in the 70s. Like they're one of the pioneers of computer gaming.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember them having a conversation with them. They said to me, "You don't have to convince everyone that this is the right thing to do, right? The people who know, the people who feel it, who feel that they're missing more play in their lives, they'll get it." And that conversation made it easier for me to go, yeah, I can't. There's too much out there that people have a really good time doing, beating themselves up. I saw someone today. It was raining like crazy. I was
Mm-hmm.
struggling to walk. Right, that's how much rain there was, and I saw a personal trainer with their client, and the personal trainer's there, like shivering, shouting and trying to correct this person who was doing stuff. And I saw the person like, you know, and I just thought to myself, what a warrior, what a champion, both of them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They weren't even standing under a tree or anything. It was like, no, we're gonna do it out in the open. Look how amazing we are. Look how brave we are. We're not gonna cancel this session just because of a bit of rain. But that's great that it's happening. But I could just see how both of them were hating it every single second. Like, oh, what am I doing this job for? I thought it was all going to be great, teaching people to be more active, and the client going, I'm all I'm going to hear for the next hour is you shouting at me to do another rep, or
Right.
I don't want to be here. I really don't. So
Mm-hmm.
that even observing that, I thought to myself, well, you could definitely change the dynamic. Still be out in the rain, still be doing some physical activity, but you could be having fun. You could still be getting all of those objectives of getting fitter and stronger and healthier, all those things you want from exercise, but you could remove some of the boot camp style like sergeant major instructor types. Oh, do this now. Like if you don't
Right.
do exactly what I say, drop and do 20, and that's the
Mm-hmm.
that's the that's the best way of getting the best out of you. So yeah, it was just incredible that I saw this, and I've seen it so many times, and 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 I thought to myself, if I was training this individual, coaching, playing actually, if I was playing with this individual, what would
Uh-huh.
we be doing? What would we be doing to make sure that I wasn't thinking, why the heck am I standing in the rain trying to earn some cash? And for them to think, thank goodness I'm out here with Darryl having a great time. Like, I can't believe I'm having such a great time in the
Yeah.
pouring rain, you know? So
Mm-hmm.
anyway, so that was pretty much is what I constantly try to think about.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm writing my programs, when I'm writing my book, when I'm trying to discuss to making movement more accessible for people. Play is just marinated into what I do now.
Yeah, and that's the play aspects of primal moves or primal play. So
Yeah.
what was your so why did you choose to have like a primal like you want to have like a primal kind of method of teaching your students, or like you have all
Yeah.
these animal moves? Is that something? I'm assuming there's a lot of play that's involved when animals, well, like not just all animals. We're animals too. There's a lot of
Yeah.
play. But what was the reason behind having these animal moves?
So I suppose the other part of primal play is evolutionary biology. So and evolutionary fitness. It's
Mm-hmm.
asking the question, how did humans evolve to move? Under what conditions did they evolve to move? And what were their capabilities? So our capabilities were not just to do burpees or to just to run or just to do a clean and jerk, on Olympic,
Mm-hmm.
using Olympic lifting weights or whatever. There was more. There was more to our ability than just a few exercises, a few movement patterns.
Mm-hmm.
And so once you start thinking about, oh my goodness, humans can do so much. We can we can mimic the rest of the animal kingdom pretty much. In most cases, not very well in comparison, but we can pretty much mimic animals, and kids do that all of the time. So
Mm-hmm.
very young kids will try to pretend to crawl like a bear, or fly like a bird, or to slither like a snake, that jump like a kangaroo. Animals will do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one aspect. Secondly, our heritage as hunter-gatherers, the majority of time on the planet, our movement functionality enabled us to source, to hunt, to gather food, to hopefully run away from predators, to build, to protect ourselves, to look at new habitats. That ability came from our ability to move,
Right.
and to adapt to particular environments. So that's why evolutionary biology and primal movement is important. And probably the last point to mention around that is the fact that primal movement is universal. So it doesn't matter where you come from, it doesn't matter what your abilities are, it doesn't matter what your disabilities are, your age. We all have an ability to perform some aspect of our natural movement capability. We can move like the humans we are, even if we have significant barriers to that. You know, we can still move like humans, and so
Yeah.
that's something that I wanted to explore, because when we exercise, we pick and choose almost a handful of movements that we keep doing. You know, I'm a runner, I'm going to keep running. Actually, you know what? I prefer my weights. So I'm going to do my bicep curls, tricep, skull crushers, whatever, bench
Mm-hmm.
presses. There's like a handful of exercises of go-tos that
Right.
people do, and they rarely explore outside of that. Or they might play a sport and they'll go, right, I want to become better at football, so I'm gonna do all the things that make me a good footballer, or whatever the sport is or activity. So there are all these things that people do to specialize in movement,
Mm-hmm.
and then they forget about all that stuff on the outside. And for most kids, going back to children again, most kids are naturally generalists, just like humans are. They're generalists of movement. They want to explore everything that they can do. They lift, they carry, they push, they pull, they climb,
Yeah.
they walk, they run, they sprint. they they do all of these things, and yet that diminishes as we get older because we want to be really good at something.
Yeah. And you
And one of yeah,
yeah, sorry, I was gonna do the comparison. Like when you have two people, adults or kids playing, you have all this action reaction, and you need to adapt depending on what the person is throwing at you. And then you discover new patterns compared to, as you're saying, if you're at the gym, you're always doing the same pattern because you don't want to think. You just know your routine,
Yes.
whatever you're used to doing.
Yes.
But having someone is like really put you out of your comfort zone, and
Out
you
of your
need to
comfort zone.
adapt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's not about, of course, we are social beings, social creatures. So it does help having a play partner to kind of bounce off and adapt to. But it's also the same about the environments we're in. So if we just go to the same place all of the time and we use the same equipment, that also uh, hems us in. It constrains what we can do. But if you have this mentality wherever you are, then that also expands your adaptation because you're like, oh, if every time you went to the gym, there was a new set of equipment every single time, right? You'd be doing different things. You'd be like, oh,
Right. Yeah.
the rowing machine's gone. Okay, I've got to. What's that machine? Oh, it's a, I don't know, whatever it is. Okay, I'm going to use that today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh my gosh, I'm not very good at this, but hey, I'm going to give it a try. Right.
Yeah.
Third day you're going. Oh my gosh, that give it a try machine's gone, and the rower's gone. What's that? Okay, I'll try that out. So
Mm-hmm.
so 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 that's uncomfortable. Like you say, it's uncomfortable because people want to feel comfortable. They want to know how many sets, how many reps, how long for, how long do I rest for and recover for? What's the correct form for this? Where do I
Mm-hmm.
look whilst I do this?
Right.
Do I look at my muscle? Do I look in the mirror? Do I look at the person that I'm attracted to? What do I do?
Yeah.
Right? But when you're totally engrossed and involved in movement, you're not thinking about any of those things. You're just thinking, you're just like, wow, oh my God, I can or I can't do this. I'm adapting or I'm struggling to adapt. But there's enough about this for me to want to keep trying. There was enough feedback for me to go, it's not a complete failure. It's
Mm-hmm.
education. It's education. And it's finding that sweet spot again so that you're not just frustrated all of the time. Like, oh, what's the point? I'm no good at anything. Like, oh, I've got to practice forever. you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I think there's an instinctive drive that children have that has nothing to do with being told or encouraged. A child, if you said to a child from the moment they were born, I don't want you to try to to walk, right? Don't, no, stop, no. They're gonna do it. Whatever you say, it's part of them that they have this drive. They
Mm-hmm.
have this drive to explore, you know, outside of where they are. Don't stay in this room. Like, why? Well, I want to see what I want to see what's through that door. You know,
Right.
what's one of the things that they do? They climb to be able to open the door so they can see what's outside that door.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they've been outside that door many times, right? It's not like they don't know what's out there. They've been
Yeah.
taken out by their parents many times, but they're like, I still want to know what's out there. I'm so excited about something new, different, exciting.
Right.
And I try to maintain this myself. Like, oh wow, the park. Look at all the things I can do here. There's so many things I can do. It's not just about climbing trees. If I just did that all the time, that would be boring as well, right? There's so
Right.
many other things that I can do in this park environment. But okay, what if I'm not in the park? How many different things can I do on my high street, on the side, just walking down the street?
Mm-hmm.
Again, most adults will say, yeah, go for a run. But imagine, out of all the things they could do, the one thing that they could probably say, I know what I could do for exercise. I can get on a bike. Oh, but if I'm on a bike, I've got to be on the road, not on the pavement. Okay. Oh, I can run on the pavement. There you go. That's exercise. For me, I'm thinking, or I could walk, right? For me, I'm thinking, wow, there's that bus shelter, pull-ups. I could probably, jump up, run up it, climb up onto it, crawl on it, jump off it, right? There's a friend over there. I can pick them over my shoulders, firemen carry them. They're so like, it's ridiculous. I can bob in and weave in between people.
Yeah.
I can see certain objects on the ground that I can maneuver around. Like, You know, the only thing that limits me is people thinking, who's that guy who's lost his marbles doing all that crazy stuff? That's the only thing that would stop me from completely exploring the environment around me.
Yeah.
But I have. The good thing is I have on certain occasions I've done that with my groups, with myself. I'm like, I feel like doing that. Do you want to give it a try? Yeah. Like there's a there's a wisdom of the crowd that you go, okay, I'm thinking about doing this, guys. What do you reckon? Oh, if you're going to do it, then I'll do it. Okay, we're all going to do this, and people are going to look at us like we're a bit crazy, But let's give it, let's try anyway, right? We're not going to get arrested, so that's cool. Let's do it. Yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. Whew, that was a lot of fun, Maybe I'll do it again, maybe not, but at least we tried. At least we, at least we did it. At least we tried it. So
Yeah.
I think for anyone listening, it doesn't. I'm not anti-gym, just in case you think I am. I'm not anti-exercise. I'm not anti doing bicep curls or whatever. Whatever you feel works for you, do whatever works for you. But if you want to explore what you're truly capable of, if you want to have more fun and joy with movement and not just restrict yourself to 30 minutes 5 days a week or whatever your time of exercise is, and you want to get more movement into your day, then you see the world differently. If I'll give you one more example. I don't like making the bed.
Hmm.
Hate it. My partner would say like, what the heck, you don't do it properly, like what the heck's that, right? But I, the one thing I do love about it is I like go crazy with it, like just
Yeah.
I'm like I see it as an opportunity to like really kind of like get myself moving first thing in the morning, right? I'm like, what, like, oh, I could be just so like lethargic and like, why am I doing this? I'm like, okay, boom, just like, oh, doesn't
Right.
look quite right. And go for it again. And it's amazing how different your mind shift, the mindset,
Hmm.
because I'm kind of treating that like my first movement pattern of the day is like, yeah, and you could get even more adventurous if you really wanted to, but it's amazing how I've gamified that process
Right.
of doing housework, sweeping the floors. If I'm sweeping now, most times I'm like, yeah, it's easier to vacuum, it's easier to get the Hoover out, but I'm going to use the brush because then I can kind of like bend and like get underneath and I can, I can like be crawling and like sometimes I'm like, the broom is too big. I'm going to go for the small dustpan and brush because then I
Right.
really have to get down and like,
Hmm.
and do all of these things. So, and it doesn't really take much more time when you have the intention, you know, you can be like you can be as quick as you can rather than again using the machine and like, yeah, this is nice, effortless, easy, not a challenge, not thinking about it. So,
Yeah.
and of course I won't always do that. There are some times I'm like, I'm getting the vacuum out, I'm getting this done as quickly as possible, but there's other times I'm like, okay, let me get a bit of movement in, let me,
You're seeing opportunities everywhere.
all the time. I mean, and we have to. I think many of us have to, because most of us are chained to our chairs. Most of us, even the ones who are active,
Hmm.
we're professional sitters. That's the phrase that I thought about today. Most of us are professional sitters, whatever our occupation. Most
Hmm.
of our occupations are sedentary, or we drive, or we're on a public transport and we're sedentary, or we come home and it's like the chair. The chair, I think, is probably the most important object for many humans.
Hmm.
They don't think of it that way, but
Right.
it's probably secondary to their smartphone or something like that. The,
Yeah.
the interaction, the amount of interaction they have with their armchair. I'm glad I'm saying this. This is going in my next book, but the amount of interaction with our armchair is probably second to our mobile phone, and
Yeah.
and because of that reliance or over reliance on the chair, we
Hmm.
don't realize it's making us sicker. you know, Pain, back pain, neck pain, poor posture. It affects our mood. We don't feel great. we feel that we have to do lots of different things. So we're constantly multitasking. Like, we make poorer food decisions when we're in the chair.
Right.
We want to snack. We want to stay here as long as possible. So put on another box set. Oh, this is great. This is great. I don't want to move. And then as soon as you move, you go, oh my goodness, my back. What did I do today? That changing the bed this morning, that was the problem. you know,
Mm-hmm.
I went too aggressive on changing the bed clothing, and that's why my back is a little bit sore. It's like, no, it's probably because you've been sitting down for most of the day.
Yeah.
So yeah, I could talk forever about that subject, but certainly we have to rebel against the chair, the dominance of the chair, and say, you know what, chair, sometimes I need to kick you into touch and say, no, I want to spend less time with you. We've become too over familiar. you
Mm-hmm.
know we need a break. We need a bit of a break. We can get back together, but for now, I don't want to see you for a while. Like, what?
Yeah.
And the chair's like, what are you going to do without me? You won't last. You won't last long. You you spend a few hours away from me, then you'll be thinking, where the hell is that chair? I want to sit down. I've been standing for so long. Yeah. Even I remember when I got my first standing desk,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, yeah, I'm going to stand all day. It's going to be easy. It wasn't easy. I was thinking, why am I doing this? I'm gonna sit back down. you know, but you persevere, you go, actually it's okay. I can shuffle around, I can do other things. I don't need the chair. It's makes me feel comfortable. But yes, rebel
Yeah.
against the dominance of the
That's
chair.
it.
That's my next
Yeah.
book title. Yeah, I've got quite a few book titles now.
Yeah, have you ever thought? I know some people redesign their homes so they sit, so they don't sit, or they reduce the time they sit on a chair or on a sofa. Do you go
Yeah,
to that level, or?
nah. I want to. I I can see the value in doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But what about when I invite guests to my home? It's I think it's a bit like being on a very strict diet
Right.
and saying to people, if you come to my home, I'm not going to cook anything that you actually want to eat. You
Mm-hmm.
have to abide by me and my rules. It's a bit like that. I think it's
Yeah.
just kind of too dogmatic. If you want to make that choice, then fine. Um, but if somebody invited me into their home, I wouldn't say, you know what, I can't sit on any of your chairs. With the rest of you, I have to sit on the floor because
Mm-hmm.
chairs are so bad for humanity. Like, really? Like, no. I should be able to. Again, it's adaptation. I should be able to adapt to sitting in a chair, to not sit in a chair, to stand, to sit on the floor. I should be adaptable. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to get to the stage where I can't even sit in a chair because like that I don't feel that's beneficial either. I think that's
Yeah.
almost you could become neurotic in
Right.
in in, in
That,
designing these spaces.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Sorry, I was gonna say that's what I like about your vision, the way you do your things. You're not doing things too extreme, so you want people to be able to enjoy your philosophy, your training philosophy. And I know some people, like, they want to have this perfect primal lifestyle, or I'm only eating this, I'm hunting my own meats, I'm doing this and that. But like,
yeah,
how, if you want to have an impact, how reasonable is what you're teaching? You want people to actually hear what you're saying and try it, and not be in the extreme where it's like your words are just going in the wind and no one is hearing what you're
yeah.
saying.
No, yeah, exactly. It's another form of elitism.
Mm-hmm.
It's another form of dogma.
Right.
Unless you're doing exactly what I do in the most strictest form, it's a complete waste of time. And no, there are many shades of grey. And for me, anything, anytime we reduce sedentarism, it's beneficial. That the benefit starts there.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime somebody decides, hey, you know what, I'm going to move a bit more than I did yesterday, that's already that's already a big win.
Right.
So, for example, I like computer games. I love my Xbox. I probably shouldn't mention the brand, but I love my Xbox. I got the latest version day one, pre-ordered. You know, I'm that
Mm.
kind of guy, right? I've tried playing my Xbox standing, sitting on the floor. No, it's not the same. It's best on in a nice, comfortable chair,
All right. Yeah.
right? So I decide not to spend all day playing my Xbox, right?
Mm. Yeah.
But if I'm going to play it, I'm going to play it in my chair where it's comfortable, where I can focus on playing the game, where I can actually do really well. So, you know, I could pretend that, oh no, I only stand all the time, you know, I'm a purist. I've chopped up all of the wood in my home to get rid of the chairs. Like, no. I recognize the benefits of chairs. I recognize the benefits of community, a communal setting where everyone's sitting around the table in chairs. There's nothing, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's just when we have options to make a choice,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like, can I commute to work actively? Some people can't, some people can. If you can, then maybe you should try to do that more often. Doesn't mean you have to do it every day, but if you just do one more day than the previous week, it's a bonus. You know, yeah, I mean, I think we need to make these messages easier for people to swallow. I believe
Mm-hmm.
movement is medicine, definitely, but we have to make this medicine easier to swallow. And I don't want to use the, you know, it's a bit like, I think it's the polio medicine. You know, they used to put it on a sugar cube, I think, to make it
Mm-hmm.
easier to swallow.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm not saying my message is like a sweetener, but certainly we want to make it more palatable, because a lot of the exercise message is very bitter. No pain, no gain. You know, sweat, blood, tears, like hardcore, go hard, go home. You know, that's the message. Like, go. And for some people, it scares them. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's frightening. Like, oh my goodness, that
And
seems really difficult.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the problem is not the fact that it's uncomfortable, because I think the problem is a lot of people don't make the difference between something that's uncomfortable but is not good for their body, and
Yes.
you might be doing a movement like really wrong, and this can really hurt.
Yes.
But it's okay to be uncomfortable, but I think we're also lacking the connection. You're not connected to your body, and you don't know what seems wrong, what seems right, what should be, what is okay, and what's not. And I think that's something that we're missing
Yes.
too.
Yeah. No, that's a very good point. And you know what's really fascinating is I remember some of the times that I would sit in really uncomfortable postures, really uncomfortable, like complete, you know, I'd be sort of like awkward positions. And
Mm.
I'd be there for hours because I'm kind of, you know, I'd be there for hours and I know it's uncomfortable. I
Mm-hmm.
know it is. No, it's not doing me any good. There is no benefit physically to why I'm doing this. And
Right.
as you say, I think there's uncomfortable and challenging, which leads to a positive adaptation. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're talking about. Positive
Right.
adaptation, both physically and mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a adaptation, negative adaptations, which leads to increasing injury, which leads to poor health, which leads to poor posture, musculoskeletal problems. So there's a complete difference between the two. And I think that's one of the reasons why play, we have to be careful when we say that, use the word play, because some people believe, oh, play should be comfortable, like, oh, easy, like, you know, being bathed in I don't know, bubbles or something like that, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like no, children's play is challenging. It's scary. Think about even hide and seek. I want you to go somewhere that I can't find you. Even those simple games,
Yeah.
you know, oh my gosh, you know, I'm going to be alone, isolated by myself, hiding in a corner, maybe in the dark. That's not necessarily comfortable. It's
Mm.
challenging.
Right.
There's a risk associated, you know, and we forget that aspect of play,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I feel play is so remarkable, because it is challenging, it is risky, it is adventurous, it is creative, it is uncomfortable. Being chased by somebody who's bigger and stronger than you are, who's going to tag you on the shoulder so that you're it, that's uncomfortable. That's challenging. You can still laugh, like, oh my gosh, I'm being chased. This is so, but it's still a challenge. And we need to be able to use that spirit of playful movement in the adult sense. So believe me, sometimes I'll be doing something going, even climbing a tree, for example, right? I hadn't climbed a tree for about 4 or 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that I would get up this tree is I would run up and almost run up the tree and then get my arms up and then kind of pull myself up. And I'm like, yeah. And every time I'd be like, yeah. And so I hadn't done it for a while. And I was like, oh, I'm going to get up this tree how I normally get up.
Yeah.
Tried it, slipped on the bark, like, okay, I wasn't prepared. Then, oh yeah, now I'm ready. Did it again. It took me about 5 or 6 attempts. Like, and I was getting more frustrated. Like, why am I not getting? Is it my age? I think I was 50 then. I was like, maybe it's because I'm 50. Maybe that's why. But all these questions came about, and then I was like, I don't have to get up the tree that way. Do I? Is that the only way I can get up this tree? No. And as soon as I said that to myself, I got up the tree that way. Like
Mm-hmm.
there was no pressure anymore. I was like, oh yeah, I can get up anyway. I don't need to run up it. I can walk, I can climb, I can pull myself up, I can and again, so I went from treating it like an exercise, perfecting it, making sure I can always do this in the way that I want,
Mm-hmm.
to I just want to achieve an objective, which is climbing the tree. That's all I want to achieve. Doesn't matter how I get up there, as long as it's safe, as long as I don't, harm myself. But I think that's also important. Like, be different, try something different, try something that where you're going to learn something about yourself and adapt. An adaptation may not be just a physical adaptation. It could be a mental adaptation. It could be psychological. It could be overcoming your fears. It could be teaching you about patience, or learning that you're not going to be 25 forever or whatever it may be. So yeah, it's important.
Right. Yeah, interesting. I also was thinking before this podcast, and I had this question that popped up. Like, have you had like, let's say, a client who came to you and he said, Darryl, I wanna obviously get strong and fit, but I really want to get jacked. I want to be like huge, get muscles, and like, what would you tell this person? Like, what is does it fit with your what you can teach this person? Like, how would that go?
I mean, I'm a fully qualified, personal trainer, so I can train someone. I know about hypertrophy. I know that, there's a science behind exercise. So
Mm-hmm.
if somebody wants to get jacked, we know what the protocols are,
Mm-hmm.
right? Hypertrophy is basically growing the muscle. So certain exercises, usually isolation exercises, will elicit the most muscle growth. Training to failure. I mean, there's so many things you can do. Time under tension. There are so many methods out there and protocols that will get there. And
Mm-hmm.
I will honestly, if I'm having an honest discussion, I'll probably say, I'm not the best trainer for that. I can do it. If that's all you
Mm-hmm.
want me to do, I certainly could program that. But it's not going to give me much joy. And that's not what you want from me. There are plenty of trainers who can do just that. I just want to get jacked. I just want to train that way. Yeah, there's plenty of magazines. There's plenty of people who can do that. I want to teach people. I want to challenge the paradigm. So I don't want to train isolation. I want to train only compound movements. Oh, that, for example, right? So already there would be a conflict there.
Mm-hmm.
If
And
my,
they
if my, yeah,
and maybe they won't come to you knowing what you do. So
yeah,
I
yeah,
was just curious. Yeah.
yeah, they probably wouldn't come to me. So, yeah, I mean, again, it's, I don't want to be so boxed in that I say, no, only my way. What I would probably say is like, yes, I can certainly train you to achieve some of those goals, but have you considered this? Have you considered why, you're doing a bicep curl, for example, you want to do them, but if you're doing a pull-up, imagine you're training your biceps, you're doing the same movement pattern, but you're also working other parts of your body as well. You're also more engaged.
Mm-hmm.
So I suppose I would probably start to um, add a bit of my philosophy to their
Mm-hmm.
training, and they may decide actually there's other things that I may want to get from this. You know,
Mm-hmm.
healthy aging, longevity, being able to be functional. Plenty of people look really great, but they can't do stuff. Like, they literally cannot do stuff. Some people can't climb a few flights of stairs because they literally are so uh, carrying so much muscle, they get breathless
Mm-hmm.
taking a few flights of stairs. Look great, not great cardiovascular health. Because if they
Yeah.
walk, they're concerned they're going to be, burning muscle. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
again,
you
it's
can.
another.
Yeah, you can. You
Yeah.
can. You can move. You can have a good movement and look good, but it doesn't go the other way around. It's not because
Yes.
you're looking good that you're moving well. It's
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I totally agree. I think, for me personally, being functionally capable, um, as to fulfilling my potential, whatever age I am, that's far more important to maintain good health, to maintain, improve my likelihood of healthy longevity. That's what I'm, that's what I'm aiming for. And certainly if I was doing this 20, 30 years ago, I may feel differently
Mm-hmm.
about my goals. Aesthetics may be more important, but
Right.
no, at my age, as the ability to do stuff is more important, actually.
Yeah.
Can I still sprint? Yes. Can I lift, far more than my body weight easily? Yes. Can I run long distances? Yes, if I have to. I can. Can I
Mm-hmm.
walk great distances? Yes. Great. Can I do all these crazy movement patterns? Do I have great precision, timing, agility, balance, coordination? Like there's all of these things that I'm constantly thinking, I want to have be a jack of all trades
Right.
of all of these things, because that's what adaptation is really about. How many different tools do you have available to be able to do something? And if all you have is my guns are huge, but that's the only thing you can say, I've got 10-pack abs and huge guns. That's what I can bring to the table. It may not be that useful in a day on the farm, or
Yeah.
like you know, help me do something, help me to move some objects,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, oh, I'm not sure. How do you carry this? How do you lift this? Like, come on, look at you. You're big and strong. You should be able to, and it's people like that, unfortunately, that they 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 they're not functional. I mean, that's probably the
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, some people can deadlift 500 pounds, but they can't brush their teeth because they have so much pain. It's not because you're
Yes.
used to, because like even like really strong men that can lift heavy weights, or bodybuilders, your body is getting used to the pattern of movement. So you're just used
Yes.
to this movement and used to that and used to this. So it doesn't mean that if you go, as you're saying, come help me in the farm, it
Yeah.
goes beyond your specialties, and you're like, I can't do this. It's
Yeah, I
not.
can't do that stuff. Yeah. Your gym strong, there's gym strong and there's functionally strong. And the thing about, I mean, I used to train deadlifts, one rep maxes a lot for deadlifts. I
Hmm.
remember, I remember deadlifting about 235 kilos was my one rep
Hmm.
max at the time.
Yeah.
I remember tying my shoelace and my back went. And I remember saying to myself, I'm supposed to have a really strong back. You know, I can lift half a car, like, but yet I tie a shoelace and my back goes like what? And
Right.
it wasn't because I had a hard session in the gym the day before, you know,
Hmm.
or I just did a big gym session and I tied my shoelace. No, no, no. Just, a few days later, I'm tying my shoelace and I'm like, my back, the first thing I said to myself was, my back is weak. Because it's weak in all those other areas where I need a strong back. And so, because I believe the deadlift is what makes me strong, I'm missing out on all those other things that my back does when I'm twisting, when I'm rotating, when I'm bending down. And so
Hmm.
again, it's a shift in mindset. I do want to be able to lift heavy, sure, safely, to be able to brace myself, to be able to take a significant load. But I also want to be able to do those finer movement patterns that don't make me go, oh my God, why did my back just go then, just leaning forward, doing something? And that used to happen to me all the time, like 2 or 3 times a year.
Hmm.
I'd pull my back, even though I was doing these really, pretty heavy back squats and front squats and deadlifts, and it didn't protect me. It just got me better, like you said. It got me better at deadlifts. It got me better at back squats. I could impress people with the numbers, but in terms of everyday functional movement,
Hmm.
sack of potatoes, like hold on a second, I can lift 200 plus kilos, but this 40 kilos bag of potatoes, I'm like really struggling here.
Hmm.
There's something not quite, doesn't quite add up. So yeah, be
Okay.
functional, stay
Yeah.
functional, have fun, be primal because we're humans, and use play if that's a way to motivate you to do more. If it doesn't, if that turns you off, if you're like, oh, play, I just want to work, then just continue to work.
Hmm.
Do what works for you. But if you feel that there's something that you want from your experience with movement, then play is one of the best ways of getting there. If you want to learn more about what you're capable of and what you're not capable of, just as much, play gives you that opportunity to explore what you can and can't do. So yeah, that's why I love play. The best thing that happened to me in terms of movement was when I realized I needed more play in my life.
Yeah. That's powerful. Yeah, it's simple but really powerful. And the good thing is you're with this kind of technique and movement, you're reaching a lot more people, and you're able to get the people that can't have enough motivation to go to the gym, and you're able to have an impact this way. Maybe some people would laugh at it. Like you have, doing weird movements, and I get that. I get that in the gym, and sometimes I want to experiment things. But at the end of the day, we're all experimenting, and we want to move better, be healthier, and do things that makes us happy. So uh, that's what you're doing, and that's great.
Yeah, and that's a really good point about people looking at you going, that's a bit strange. But if we went back 50 years, 60 years, if you saw someone running on the street, you'd be like,
Yeah,
why are they
yeah.
running? Who are they running from? Am I in danger as well? Because there was no such thing as recreational running then.
Hmm.
People did jogging. Jogging wasn't the term. People didn't go jogging.
Hmm.
It's relatively recent that
Yeah.
people did things like that. So now you see somebody running, and you assume that they're probably jogging. Oh yeah, they're jogging. They're doing some exercise. And
Hmm.
and it's the same for you and I. Sometimes we're in the gym and we might be doing, or not, I was going to say in the gym. I'm never really in the gym, but doing stuff.
Yeah.
And somebody might go, what the heck is that guy doing crawling on the ground? But again, it's novel. It seems like it's a bit strange, but it's only because people aren't used to seeing it. and once people start seeing it more often, then it's not a problem anymore. Think, I don't know, burpees, right? If, Imagine the first time somebody did that exercise. People were like, did that person just slam himself down on the floor? Like, did that just happen? I'm like, he was 1 minute he was
Yeah.
standing up.
Yeah.
The next thing you know, he's like on the floor, and then he's jumping back up like he's had a shock, a fright. Then he's doing it again. That,
Yeah. Wait.
that
Yeah.
with fresh eyes, that's what you'd be thinking. Like, what the heck is he doing?
Hmm.
Kettlebells, right? Oh my goodness, what's that? Is he holding a handbag? Is that a cannonball with a handle? Like, what the heck? What the
Yeah.
heck is that? Right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. For me now, I'm like, whatever gets you going, whatever you feel is going to get you to where you want to go, try it out. And if it works for you, great. If it doesn't, because you've always got to remain curious and question, um, But I think Bruce Lee made, I think it's attributed to Bruce Lee, this
Mm-hmm.
quote, something along the line, and I'm paraphrasing because I'm not great with quotes, but it was something along the lines of, you know, you find the path, you walk on the path, and then you deviate from the path. You know, so and it's the deviation which is the important thing. Most people
Mm-hmm.
find the path and they go, oh yeah, I found it, and sometimes they don't even do anything. They just go, oh yeah, I found it. Yeah, I found it. I found the answer. Don't do anything with it. The next the next stage, people go, I found it, and I'm gonna explore it. I'm gonna look at, you know. And some people never, they stay there forever. They go, oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, this is it, perfect. Yeah, I dismiss everything else. Nothing else
Mm-hmm.
matters. The most useful is when you go, I saw it, I tried it out, and I can compare it to everything else. I can see where I want to stay on the path. I can see
Absolutely.
where when I deviate, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so, so yeah, if you always remain open and always question, then I think you're always going to be in a better position. Whether you enjoy it or not is a different matter. But I think it's a better place to be, because if I didn't have that attitude, I'd still
Mm-hmm.
be doing the workout program I first started with. And thank goodness I'm not doing that. But that's what I would have done. It's only because I started to question and was curious and was like, why is that person doing that? I'm never going to do that in a million years. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing it now. You know what? You know, whatever. You know,
Yeah.
I'm
And
never
it's
going
so and it's yeah, and it's also so it's important to deviate because you don't want to be dogmatic, but at the same time you need to have enough confidence in what you're doing, no matter what. Even if you know that next week or next year you're gonna discover something that's completely different, and you're gonna be convinced by another methodology or something else, but you always have to be confident. And this is what I think is right today, right now, and
yeah,
maybe next week it's going to be something else. And always that's how you can evolve and learn and try new things.
yeah, exactly. And I think the beauty of that is the core. I think if something is really true and really works, the essence of it will never change. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the beauty. You know, the nuance may change, the details may change, but I think, for example, right, I know no matter what the primal play method states, no matter what I find out about in the future, I know I need to train my heart and lungs. I need to condition my heart. It's the most important muscle in the body. I need to look after it with
Mm-hmm.
movement. Nothing is going to change that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
never ever going to decide, hey, you know what, cardio or aerobic work is a waste of time. I only need to rely on strength training. That can do everything for me. I need both. Cardio is not going to get me maximally strong. Resistance training alone is not going to be improving my cardiorespiratory fitness. I need both. But
Mm-hmm.
so you know, so I think the core, the fundamentals, the foundation, that's where I think the path should always be there. Like, yeah, that path is staying right there. But some of the side roads, you know, you go down a road and you go, that looks really interesting. Nah, that's not for me. You turn back, or you go, whoa, this looks really good. But you still always know, when do I need to get back to the main road, right? One example would be, wow, I'm going down this road of balance training. It's so amazing. I'm going to go deep, further and further away. If I just go down that road, I'm going to be neglecting my cardio training, my
Mm-hmm.
strength training, the fundamental principles. I'm going to suffer. So I need to be able to say, it was nice playing with balance for a while, but I need to come back to the foundation. And I can always go back and visit the balance road. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that's what I think. Again, I'm that's another book
Yeah.
somewhere. I don't know, but you know, that's we've got to keep thinking along those lines, because some people, they go off the path and then they go, oh, forget about that, you know, and we need to be able to keep questioning and be skeptical and curious, but also to rely on something that we know is kind of truth, that we can't really neglect. Like for example, I remember having a conversation with someone about HIIT training, high intensity interval training,
Right.
which I'm a big fan of. I remember somebody saying to me, "You can train 1 minute a week," and they did some research and they developed this system, and it was like 1 minute, and it's the equivalent of doing, I don't know, they said something like 100. Yeah, that was it. They said it was the equivalent of doing 150 minutes a week, the government recommendations for exercise, by doing 1 minute of HIIT. Okay. And I was just like, wow, can I have a look at the research? That's really fascinating. Now, yeah, we've got the research. Yeah, we've got the research. And I remember saying to them, hold on a second. So you're saying you're getting everything. What are you getting from this 1 minute? And they said, oh, you get this, you get that, you get that. And I said, do you think there's anything that you're missing from not doing the 150 minutes a week? Do you think there's anything else? And they were like, no. Everything is contained within that 1 minute. And so you kind of go, really? How do you know how many markers are affected by 150 minutes a week of activity versus 1 minute of high intensity? How do you know? How do you know everything that's covered? What about resistance training? How come you haven't got any strength in there? You just got 1 minute of HIIT. So like very quickly, it breaks down their argument completely. You see how flawed it is. And instead of them saying, hey, you can reduce the amount of time you spend exercising, and you can get a lot of benefits by doing 1 minute high intensity versus 150 minutes of moderate, they have to say, no, this is better, always better, it's the best way. Everything you need is in 1 minute, in 1 minute. And that's the problem again with exercise.
Yeah.
is selling people this dream of do less, get more, do
Yeah.
less,
Do,
get
get
more out of
and get more. And also, if you do less, let's say you do 1 minute a week, you're what? You're saving 2, 3, 4, 5 hours a week. What are you doing in these 4 or 5 hours?
Yes.
If you're just on Instagram or on your phone, I mean, you
Yeah,
might as
exactly.
well get more benefits moving and doing stuff. Like people try to
Yes.
save time in actually exercising, but maybe it's okay if you use it for something that's healthier for you and better for you. But if you're
Yes.
just wasting it, you maybe it's better to move. But then who am I to to judge or
Yeah, and we don't want to be judgmental, but I think that's the other side effect of exercise, benefits or side effect, I should say, is that usually when you achieve that 1 minute or half an hour, people go, okay, now I can relax a bit. Now I can do some of those other things because I have a bit of a get out clause. And the reality is most of us need to be doing more, even if we're exercising, even if we do it every single day. Most of us probably still need to be moving more, not necessarily exercising more, but we need to be breaking up sedentary lifestyles more often. And so that's a danger of just saying, yeah, just do it in 6 minutes, 6 minute abs. Why do it in 6 minutes when you can do it in five? Let's do it 5 minute abs or 4 minute
yeah.
abs. Actually, let's just do one crunch. You can just do one crunch, and that's it. You've got 1,000 crunches in one. Just
Right.
and but there's the mental health benefits. There's the other things that happen when you're just kind of like spending a bit of time and you're going for a long walk or a long run, or you're going for a bike ride, or you speak, you're working out with a group or with your friends, or there's all these other benefits that don't come about by just going hard or going home for a minute or two. But there are other
Yeah.
benefits that I think people don't often communicate and talk about because people just want to hear, wow, can I look great in a minute a week? That's all I need to do. Yeah, it's a minute a week. But what I don't tell you is you'd have to work so hard, you're probably going to feel like you're gonna die. That's probably how that's the intensity that's required for you to get some of the benefits of somebody just walking for 30 minutes, 5 times a week. That's what you don't realize about high intensity interval training. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's fascinating for sure.
Yeah. Well, that was great. Unfortunately, we'll have to wrap it up. I have two last questions to close this really nice talk. So the first one, if there was one mistake that you think you made and was your best mistake, what would it be? Something that you can't leave.
Wow.
I mean, like all mistakes can be beneficial, but if there was one thing that you can't live without.
Um, I think it would be you know having a weak lower back, then
Mm-hmm.
doing things like deadlifts because I was like, okay, I want to get my back strong, and then pulling my back by tying my shoelace. That was it. So the mistake was me thinking that deadlifts and back squats was going to be the way to get a stronger back,
Mm-hmm.
and actually the variety of movement for my back, more functional movements, not just one or two. That's what I learned from that episode.
Okay,
So that was a
interesting.
great, yeah. So it seemed beneficial. It certainly improved my back squat and deadlift for sure. I got a lot stronger in those movement patterns, but it still didn't compensate for the weakness, the inherent weakness in my back that came about
Right.
because I just wasn't moving in other ways. So that's
Mm-hmm.
one mistake. Yeah, there you go.
All right. Thank you. And my second one, Darryl, when you woke up this morning, what were you grateful for?
Wow, that is a great question. Um, well, I'm going to be really upfront with you. Um, I lost my mother this year, a few months ago,
Mm-hmm.
and so most of the time, um, I really miss her,
Mm-hmm.
and so I try to feel gratitude for the times I did have with her, and for the
Mm-hmm.
wonderful person that she was, and that I can hopefully continue to make her proud of me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's difficult, but I'm working really hard to try to feel grateful because as soon as I think about her, it's hard for me to feel. It's hard to feel gratitude, to be honest. When I think about how much I miss her and know that I'll no longer. Yeah. So probably
Yeah.
not the answer you were expecting, but yeah, it's I work daily at trying to feel adjusting to her loss.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
suppose I suppose I feel grateful that I'm able to
Cherish.
cherish and try to adapt.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's I suppose I feel grateful for that because otherwise it would just be a slippery slope. So
Mm-hmm.
so I'm grateful for that fact that I'm aware that it's a difficult process. It's not going to be fixed overnight, and this is
Mm-hmm.
something that I'm going to be dealing with for a very long time.
Mm-hmm. That's part you're in a transition. I'm assuming you're moving towards something else. It doesn't mean that it's gonna go away, but you're in a path where you're starting to cherishing these memories and
Yeah,
move and move. Yeah.
yeah, it's a lifelong yeah, it's I suppose it's a lifelong journey. That's a lifelong journey, and
Mm-hmm.
and it's difficult to encapsulate in a daily kind of like a daily activity. But
Mm-hmm.
certainly, um, I want to continue to to live as if she's still here and she's
Mm-hmm.
still telling me yes, good, no, not so good,
Mm-hmm.
and to still hear her voice telling me, that she's proud of me, uh, um,
Mm-hmm.
and pleased with what I'm doing. So yeah, so it's I mean, of course, there's always a silver lining, but the difficult, humans deal with adversity. Many of us are suffering with lots of different things, and we have to try
Mm-hmm.
to find a way of working through it, whatever that may be.
Right. Yeah. Thanks for sharing this.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thanks. Well, I think last thing, I think I know, but if people want to know more about what you do, I guess maybe the best way be social media, your website. I can share all of that. Is that primalplay.com?
Yeah, primalplay.com is the website, so you can find out about me, about the Primal Play method, about the Animal Moves program and products. So I have fitness decks, I have a book, e-courses, I have lots of videos and content on the site, lots of research as well. So if you're interested in kind of physical activity research, I have that. Kind of movement as medicine research, I have that. I also have lots of play psychology as well. So all of the kind of influences behind Primal Play, you can go down the rabbit hole if you want to. You can read or you can move. you have that choice when you go to the website. And on
That's great.
social media, I'm known as the Fitness Explorer. So you can connect with me on social media at Fitness Explorer, and you can search for Darryl Edwards online, and you can watch my TED talk. If you do watch it, please comment, because it really does help. More people get to see it if you feel it's beneficial for them. So yeah, that's probably the best place to get in touch, and please, feedback is always great. So if any of this conversation resonates with you or you have any questions, then definitely get in touch. That'd be wonderful.
Perfect. Thanks, Darryl. It was really a pleasure.
Oh, thank you, Mamoun. It was superb. So thank you. Been a great host. And,
thank you.
Thank you for the interesting questions.
Thanks. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too.
I really hope you enjoyed this episode, and maybe you have learned things that you might apply to your daily lives. If there's one thing that I have learned from talking with Darryl, is that health doesn't have to be complicated. You just want to make it fun and doable. Sometimes you have people that want to optimize their lives and having all these crazy technological tools to make their life healthier and better, but they bypass other tools that are so much more efficient and easier. Playing can be easy, and fitness sometimes gets too complicated, so keep it simple, just move, breathe, and you'll be healthier.